We're starting 6 lines from the top on Vav Amud Aleph. The previous discussion, the previous DAF, we mentioned a pasuk in Sefer Yehoshua which talks about the Aryai Mivtzar, the fortified cities in Israel, and it lists 5 different cities. Rabbi Yochanan then proceeded to offer suggestions why some of those cities are named as they are, or what those cities are. Some of those cities have other names and why they have those other names. Now Rava is actually going to come and argue, right? Because Rabbi Yochanan suggested that the city of Rekes is Tzipori. So Amar Rava, 6 lines again from the top on Vav Amud Aleph, Mi Ital lamad Amar Rekes lav Tiveriyahi. Is there anyone who actually believes that Rekes is not Tiveria? As in, Rabbi Yochanan thought it was Tzipori, but everybody else thinks it's Tiveria. Veha, and he brings a proof. Ki shachiv inish hacha. If a man passes away in Bavel, Hasam safti lehachi. Hasam is over there in Eretz Yisrael, and specifically in Tiveria, they eulogize him as follows. Gadol hu b'Sheshach. This man was great in Sheshach. Sheshach is, Rashi tells you, is code word for Bavel, because we have a system called Atbash. What that means is that we can substitute the first letter, so we substitute Aleph with the last letter of the Aleph Beis. So Aleph is Taf, and Beis is Shin. So Sheshach, right, the Shin corresponds to Beis, so Beis, and the Kaf responds to Lamed, so that's referring to Bavel. So Gadol hu b'Sheshach, this man is great in Sheshach, b'shem lo barekes, and he has made himself a name in Rekes. Rekes again referring to where they are right now in Tiveria. V'chi maski arona lahasam, and if you move, and if somebody's coffin is taken from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, when someone's coffin is taken from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael to be buried, safti lehachi, they give him the following eulogy. Ohavei sridim yoshvei Rekes, that Ohavei Sridim, Rashi says Ohavei Yisrael, so the lovers of Yisrael, dwellers who dwell in Rekes, Tz'u v'kiblu harugei omek, you shall go and accept, welcome almost, those killed in Omek, again in Bavel. So the fact is, in both these situations, the eulogy is being given in Tiveria, and they're calling Tiveria Rekes. So again, seems to not work well with the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan. And then ki nachnafshe de Rabbi Zera, and when Rabbi Zera passed away, so Rashi tells us about this case that Rabbi Zera Allah mi Bavel Eretz Yisrael. So Rabbi Zera was born in Bavel, made Aliyah to Israel. So Pasach Aleha Hahu Safdana, the one who gave him the eulogy, opened up as follows. We're on the third last of the short lines on the page, Vav Amud Aleph. Eretz Shinar Hara v'Yilda, that the land of Shinar, referring to Bavel, conceived you and gave birth to you. Eretz Tzvi Gidla Sha'ashueha, and Eretz Tzvi, the beautiful land, referring to Eretz Yisrael, raised you in its delight almost. Oy na la amra Rekes, woe to us, says Rekes again. Ki avda klei chemdasa, for we have lost our beloved utensil, referring to Rabbi Zera. So in all these 3 situations, they're in Tiveria, referring to themselves as Rekes. So how can you tell me that Rekes is referring to Tzipori? Ela Amar Rava. So Rava in fact goes on and argues with Rabbi Yochanan, and he says, Hamas, that city refers to Zo Chamegrar. Rekes, Zo Tiveria. Kineres, Zo Ginosar. Velama nikra shma Rekes. So why do we call the city of Tiveria Rekes? She'afilu rekanin sheba mlein mitzvos karimon. That even the lowliest of those who dwell in Tiveria are full of mitzvos. So again, we're taken from the word rekanin, which means like the empty ones, so, almost the lowest of society. And that's what we call Rekes. Even they are full of mitzvos. Rabbi Yirmiyah Amar. So Rabbi Yirmiyah says no. Rekes Shema. In fact, the city's actual name is Rekes, right? Velama nikra shma Tiveria, right? So then why do we call it Tiveria? He flips it. Before we thought the city was Tiveria and the nickname was Rekes, right? Think of like New York and the Big Apple. Initially they thought the city was New York and the nickname is Big Apple, and now they're almost flipping it. They're saying no, that really the name is Rekes. So why do we call it Tiveria? Sheyosheves b'tibura shel Eretz Yisrael, because it rests, it is situated in the tabur is like the name for in Mon Jun, the belly button. So it's in the middle of, it's in the Tibur Eretz Yisrael. Rashi says the Be'emtza Ayisa. It's situated in the middle of Eretz Yisrael. That's why we call it Tveria. Rabba Amar Rekes Shema. So we also believe that the real name of the city is Rekes. Vilama Nikra Shema Tveria. And why do we call it Tveria? Shetova Re'iyasa. It looks beautiful. So Tveria, Tova Re'iyasa. You can see how you get from there to Tveria. So Amar Zeira. So Zeira says Kitron Zo Tzipori. So Zeira comes along and says that the city of Kitron is Tzipori. Okay. Vilama nikra shema tzipori. So why do we call it tzipori? Sheyosheves berosh hahar ketzipor. Because the city of Tzipori rests on the top of the mountain like tzipor, like a bird will rest high up on a mountain. So now we ask a question. The Kitron Tzipori, is it possible that the city of Kitron is actually Tzipori? V'ha Kitron bechelko shel Zvulun havai. But Kitron is in the is part of the inheritance, is part of the property, you could say, of Zvulun. Tichsiv, because we have a pasuk. The pasuk in Shoftim, when Sefer Yoshua, the Jewish people capture Eretz Yisrael, then in Shoftim, in the beginning of Shoftim, it tells us all the cities that they didn't capture. So it tells us Zvulun lo horish es Yoshvei Kitron ve'es Yoshvei Nahalol. So it tells us that Zvulun did not capture the Yoshvei Kitron, did not take over the city of Kitron and the city of Nahalol. So we see, so again, so if Kitron is Tzipori, we're saying Tzipori now, we're saying Kitron is in the Chelek of Zvulun. And then the Gemara continues. This is almost now all a side point. Well, part of it. Zvulun Misraim al Midosav Hava. And Zvulun was upset about his Midosav, which Rashi tells us here, al Mazalo. So Zvulun was upset about the lot, about the share that he got in Eretz Yisrael. They split up into 12 tribes. Zvulun wasn't happy with the portion that they received in Eretz Yisrael. How do we know that? Shnei Amar, the pasuk says, Zvulun am cheref nafshol amus. So literally, actually, this pasuk is praising Zvulun, because this pasuk is saying, this is part of Shiras Devorah. After Devorah and Barak defeat the enemy, the army of Sisera, Devorah has a whole song that she sings, and part of it she praises Zvulun, because literally what the pasuk means is that they were a nation, am cheref nafshol amus, ready to give themselves over to die in order to protect the Jewish people. But the Gemara is going to interpret it differently, and they're going to say Zvulun am cheref nafshol amus, that they almost shamed themselves to death, that they were so upset, that they felt so shamed at the portion that they received in Eretz Yisrael. Matam, why were they upset? Mishum de Naftali al Miromei Sadeh. The continuation of the pasuk says that Naftali was situated al Miromei Sadeh, that they had fields situated high up. So what was the complaint? Amar Zvulun lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ribono shel Olam La'achai nasata lahem sados uchramim V'li nasata harim ugvaos. I don't understand. To my brother, to Naftali, you gave beautiful fields and you gave vineyards. That's all their portion. But Li, in my portion, nasata harim ugvaos. I have mountains, I have valleys. I can't plant there. Le'achai nasata lahem aratzos. To my brothers, you gave actual land where they can live. V'li nasata yamim unaharos. In my portion, I have lakes and I have rivers. It's very hard to live there. There isn't so much area. So Amar Lo, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu responds, Kulan tzrichim lecha al yedei chilazon. Don't feel so bad. Everybody needs what is in your portion, because in your portion lays the chilazon. The chilazon is the bug, the worm, whatever it is, from which we derive tcheles, which we use to dye tzitzis and other parts of the Mishkan which need to be from tcheles. Shenemar, the pasuk says again. This pasuk is referring to Moshe's bracha to Zvulun. It says Amim Har Yikra'u, that the nations, referring to I think the rest of the Jewish people, will call out to the Har, because again Zvulun's complaining that his portion has a lot of mountains. Usfunei Tmunei Chol. So what does that mean? Tani Rav Yosef, what are they going to call for? Sfunei Ze Chilazon, Tmunei Ze Tris, which Rashi tells us Dag Shekorin Tunina. So let's assume that's a tuna. Okay, v'chol zo zechuchis levana. It's some sort of white. It's some sort of sand that you can make some white glass. It's a high quality sand which you can make expensive glass from the sand. So that's all within Zvulun's portion. So Amar lefanav Ribono shel olam mi modieni alzos. Okay, it's great that these are on my property, but who's going to prevent? Who's going to inform me? Who's going to prevent anybody really from coming in, taking the chila zone without paying any money? So how do I benefit? So Amar lo, Hashem responds, Sham yizbechu zivchei tzedek. It says over again the continuation of the pasuk of the bracha that Moshe gives to Zvulun is Sham. Over there they will offer korbanos, sacrifices of tzedek, of righteousness. So Rashi here explains Sham yizbechu zivchei tzedek, meaning ka'asher asur gezel ba'olav. The same way it is forbidden to steal an animal and then offer it up as a korban olah, as a sacrifice in the Mishkan or the Beis Hamikdash, kach lo yigzulu mimcha klum. So to here, nobody will be able to steal anything from you. She'im yitol shaveh pruta below damim. If they're going to come and steal even a cent, even a minimal amount of these different commodities, tiskalkel hatzvia, that the dye that they're going to want to produce is going to get messed up. Ve'achol, and so will the sand. V'lo yo'il klum. It's not going to work. So back to the pasuk. So Hashem responds. Back to Gemara. The pasuk responds. Hashem responds. Sham yizbechu zivchei tzedek. Siman zeh yelecha. This will be my sign to you. Kol hanotel mimcha below damim. Anybody who tries to take any of these commodities without paying, ino mo'il b'prakmetya shelo klum. It will not help his business whatsoever. Okay, a lot of this was a side point. Let's get back to our main point. Our main point here was we were trying to prove that the city of Kitron. We said that Kitron was Tzipori, and now we're questioning that based on this whole brisa. So why? If you want to tell me that the city of Kitron is Tzipori, amai misraim al midosav. Why was Zvulun so upset with the portion that they received? V'hahavya Tzipori milsa de'adifa tuva. Tzipori is a great city. If that's really within the portion of Zvulun, they wouldn't have argued, they wouldn't have complained about their portion. So now we say, so maybe you'll tell me, you're right, it's a great city, but it lacks the element of a land of flowing of milk and honey. Rashi explains, ha'izim zavas chalav udvash, ha'izim ochlim te'inim, that the goats are eating figs, v'advash noteif mehem, and they eat it. The honey, spills out, juices out of them. The hachalav zav min ha'izim, and the milk is flowing out of the goats. V'na'asim kimin nachal. It makes some sort of river. It's a very nice explanation. I don't know if this is what they mean practically. What they mean flowing of milk and honey, they actually mean rivers of milk. But they're saying, and if you want to tell me maybe it's a great city, but it lacks this. The Rish Lakish states, "Ledidi chazi li zavas chalav udvash tzipori." No, I saw again. He's quantifying it. I saw this land of flowing of milk and honey in the city Tzipori, and v'havya shisha asar mil al shisha asar mil. And he's able to quantify it, and its area is 16 by 16 mil. So maybe you'll tell me delon nefisha didei kedachva. Okay, maybe he has that much of, maybe he has that quantity of zavas chalav udvash, but maybe everybody else has a much larger quantity. So we say, no, Veha amar Rabba bar bar Chana amar Rabbi Yochanan, lididi chazili zavas chalav udvash. He says, D'chol arad Yisrael. I was able to quantify, I witnessed, the zavas chalav udvash in all of Eretz Yisrael. Vehavya kimibei kubi ad ikra de tulbakni. And it stretched from the city of Mabi Kubi until Akra de Tulbakni. And how big was that? Esrin Vitartin Parsi Urcha. It is 22 parsaos long. Upusya, and its width is Shisa Parsi, and it's 6 parsaos wide. So forgetting the math for a second, the exact math, the point is, we're saying, if you take the proportion that the Zavas Chalav Udvash of Zvulun and Tzipori, it's certainly a fair share of that, of the zavas chalav udvash in all of Israel. So that can't be their complaint. Their complaint cannot be that it lacks the zavas chalav udvash. So what is their complaint? So afilu hachi, you're right, no. Tzipori is Kitron, and that is in the portion of Zvulun. And nevertheless, they still complained. Why? Sadosu chramim adip alei, because they would have preferred to have fields, they would have preferred to have land full of fields and vineyards, and none of this other, they didn't particularly want the chilazon and these other expensive commodities. And dika nami dichsiv, and we can infer that from the fact that the pasuk says, v'naftali al meromei sadesh mamina. Their complaint was based on the fact that Naphtali had a sadeh, that they had fields, and the portion of Zvulun lacked those fields. Okay. So now the Gemara is going to talk about several other cities, and a lot of these, the next Agarata, are actually going to focus around comparing Yisrael to our enemies, and specifically Edom. So we see here, Amar Rabbi Avahu, the Ekron Te'aker, that the city of Ekron will be uprooted. So what's this referring to? Zo Kesari Bas Edom, it refers to, I think, the city of Caesarea, right, the daughter of Edom. Shehi Yosheves Bein Hacholos, it is situated between areas of sand. Vi Haisa Yased Tikua Israel Bimei Yivanim, and this was, it was like a peg stuck into Jewish people in time of the Yivanim, right? It was a thorn on their side. It was very annoying. They were very bad, caused the Jewish people a lot of pain, a lot of anguish. When the Chashmonaim were able to defeat the Greeks, Hayu Korin Osa, they changed the name of Kesari Bas Edom to Achidas Migdal Shir, which Rashi explains Kivushas, right? Capturing, right, the tower of song. And Amar Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina, Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina says, "My dichsiv," the following pasuk in Zechariah. What is the meaning of the following pasuk? Which Rashi tells us is referring to the city of Tzor, which is one of the great cities, Shehu Rosh LaEdom, one of the great cities of Edom. So what does the following pasuk mean? Bahasirosi damav mipiv, I will remove the blood from his mouth. Bishikutsav mibein shinav, and the disgusting things between his teeth. Binishar gamhu le'elokenu, but it will still remain to God. So v'hasirosi damav mipiv ze beis bamya shelahen. So that, when it says I'll remove the blood from their mouths, that's referring to their beis bamya, which Rashi tells us is one of their idols, a type of avodah zarah. V'shikutsav mibein shinav, when he says he'll remove that from his teeth, ze beis galia shelahen, that's referring to the some sort of idol that they had. Finish argam hulelokenu. What's that referring to? Elu batechnesios bate midrash shebe Edom. These are referring to the shuls and the bate medrash in Edom. So all the idol worship will be destroyed from the city, but the shuls and the bate medrash are going to remain. And then the pasuk continues. V'haya ke'aluf bihuda, will be like a leader in Yehuda, and ve'ekron kivusi. What's this referring to? Elu tratrios v'karkasios shebe Edom. This is referring to the amphitheaters that they had in Edom. Sha'asidin sare Yehuda l'lamed behen Torah berabim. Right, instead of MetLife Stadium being used for the football game, they'll use it for Siyam Hashas, right? So that's what's saying. These amphitheaters won't be used for whatever they're doing. They'll be used to teach Torah. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Now Rabbi Yitzchak, now we have a whole slew of statements, Agarata, based on Rabbi Yitzchak. Leshem, the city of Leshem, which Rashi tells us is a Ir Shekavshu b'nei Dan, one of the cities that the children of Dan captured. Zo Pamyas. Which Rashi tells us, Shemisham Yarden Yotzei. From that area, the Jordan River flows. Right, Dan had a portion. I thought they were in the north. Maybe they're in the south. Okay, but anyways, wherever they captured, from there the Jordan River flowed. Ekron Te'aker, coming back to that same pasuk, that Ekron will be uprooted. Again, Zo Kesari Bas Edom. It's referring to this city of Caesarea. Shehi Haisa Metropolin Shel Malachim, right? There was a metropolis of kings. So what does that mean? Ika de Amri de Marbi ba Malchi. So either that means that this was the city where they would bring all the future kings to raise them in the city. Viga da'amri demukma mina malchi, or maybe it means that it's not where they grew up, but that's where they were born. Okay, then the Gemara continues. Kesari v'Yerushalayim. If you have the city of Kesari, which again is going to symbolize here Edom and Yerushalayim, which obviously is a symbol for the Jewish people. Im yomar lecha Adam charva Adam. If somebody will tell you charvu shtehen, both of these cities are destroyed, al ta'amein, don't believe them. Yashvu shtehen, if somebody tells you both of these cities are good cities inhabited, al ta'amein, you also shouldn't believe them. But if they tell you Charva Kesari v'Yashva Yerushalayim, that Kesari was destroyed and Yerushalayim is strong and well, or Charva Yerushalayim v'Yashva Kesari, or that Yerushalayim is destroyed and Kesari is doing well, Ta'amein, then you should believe them. Why? The pasuk in Yechezkel says, Shneimar imal'ah hacharava, I will fill up that which is destroyed, which we darshan im milei azo. If this one is full, meaning if Yerushalayim is okay, is great, is inhabited, charvazo, there must be that Edom is down, right? The Kesari is destroyed. Im milei azo, but if Kesari is full, charvazo, then Yerushalayim will be destroyed. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Amar Mehacha, he believes at the same point that you can't, both cannot be superpowers at the same time. It's one or the other. From ul'om mil'om ye'emat, right? That this is when Hashem tells Rivke about the two boys in her stomach. So he says that one nation will be greater than the other, right? One always has to be on top, the other one always has to be below.
Why don't we use Rome as the seat of power? I mean, that's like, if you're talking about Yerushalayim, you should compare it to Rome, not. You know what I'm saying? As
opposed to? Why do they? Later on, they're going to talk about the city of Rome. I'm not sure what they got to base on. Why that city is based on other. I don't know.
Maybe because it's near Israel.
Maybe. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Another statement from Rabbi Yitzchak. My dichsiv. What does the following pasuk mean? That you chan rasha, you show rechen, you show grace to a rasha, evil person. Bal lamed tzedek. He still will not learn any righteousness. Amar Yitzchak l'ifnei Kadosh Baruch Hu. Yitzchak Avinu told God, Ribono shel Olam, Yuchan Esav, show some grace, be nice to Esav almost. Amar Lo, Hashem responds, Rashahu, he's a Rasha. Amar Lo, he says, Bal lamed tzedek, has he not learned any sort of righteousness? Does he not have anything upon, any merits to him that you could show him grace? Amar Lo, Be'eretz nichochos yavel, that in the lands of the upright yavel, he will sin, he will destroy. Rashi explains here, and what that means is Kilomar atid lacharibas Eretz Yisrael. His descendants, right? We generally view Esau's descendants as Edom, as the Romans. They're going to eventually destroy the Yerushalayim. So Amar Lo, Yitzchak responds, Im Kain, if that's true, Bal Yireh Geus Hashem. You're right. He should not be able to witness the Geus, the pride of God. Ve'amar Rabbi Yitzchak, again, my dichsiv, al titein Hashem ma'avaye rasha. What does it mean that Hashem, you shall not give into the evil one's desires? Zimamo al tafek, do not remove the nose ring from his nose. Yarumu sela, so that it shall be exalted. Rashi here explains what's the idea of the zimamo al tafek, the last Rashi on the page. Al totienu min chirab, don't take it out of his nostrils. Really, what that means, zamam kimin tabas barzel. This is referring to an iron ring. Shenosnim bechotma shel anaka. It's put into the nose of an anaka, I think some sort of animal, wild animal. B'nim shechesbo, and that's the way you control the animal. You control it by pulling on this metal ring that's put in its nose. Umitoch choska eino mishtameres ki imbo. And because this animal is so strong, the only way you can really control it is by holding on to this ring. So we're saying don't remove this ring. So Amar Yaakov lifnei Kadosh Baruch Hu. Last line on the Amud. So Yaakov Avinu now tells Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono shel Olam, al titein la'isav harasha ta'avas libo. Right, the first part of the pasuk that don't give the evil ones their desires. Don't give Esav harasha that which he desires. And zmamo al tafek, what is that referring to? Zo germamia shel Edom. Rashi says Germamia is Shem Malchus. It's referring to a province of Edom. She'ilmale hein yotzin, for if this province, if they wanted to go out, spread upon where they are, machri Rivin kol ha'ulam kulo. They'd be able to destroy the entire world. So ve'amar Rabbi Chama bar Chanina, Rabbi Chama bar Chanina tells a story about Germania shel Edom. So tlas me'ak tiri taga iki be'Germania shel Edom. That there were 300 crown princes in this province of Germania shel Edom. The tlas me'a v'shisin v'chamisha miravzini marzavni ika beromi. And there are 365 rulers in Rome. These two groups would confront each other, seeming some sort of battle. And one of them would be killed. And therefore, every day they'd be busy replacing one of their leaders who were killed. I think the point of this is to tell this is the nose ring that Hashem's not removing, right? The nose ring is the fact that they're so preoccupied with killing themselves and replacing their own leaders that they don't have the ability to go out and come destroy everybody else. Now again, let's continue. Another statement of Rabbi Yitzchak. The Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Im Yomar Lecha Adam Yagati V'lo Matzasi, referring to Talmud Torah. If somebody tells you, I tried hard, I put in my effort, but I did not achieve any success, Al Ta'amein. Don't believe him. If he says Lo Yagati Matzasi, if he says I didn't put in any effort and I achieved success, I found what I needed, Al Ta'amein. You also shouldn't believe him. But Yagati Umatzasi Ta'amein. If somebody tells you I worked hard, I put in my effort, and I achieved success, so then you should believe him. But Hani Mile B'divrei Torah. But this only applies to studying Torah. Aval b'masa umatan, when it comes to business, it doesn't always go based on your efforts. Or people can put in a lot of work and cannot be successful. People can put on little work and be very successful. Right? Siyata hu min shemaya. That's up to almost siyata d'shmaya. That's up in Shemaim. But your effort doesn't always correspond to your reward.
Usually say Tzvi. Igati, badakti, umatzati.
I don't know. Okay, so then the Gemara continues. Ula divrei Torah lo amran el chdude. Even when it comes to divrei Torah, so this is only stated that according to your efforts, that will almost be your benefit. L'chdude. That comes to sharpening. That comes to understanding. Right? When it comes to understanding, you daf yomi shir. So that depends how much effort you put in. Aval ukmi girsa. When it comes to remembering the next day what we learned the previous day, so that's not up to our effort. That's siyata min shemaya. Right? That's up to Hashem. We have to put in our most effort, but ultimately Hashem decides how much we'll remember. Ve'amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Again, Rabbi Yitzchak. Im ra'isa rasha shahasha'am misachekes lo. If you see that a wicked person, the hour is good to him. Life is good to him at that time. Al tisgareh bo. Don't confront him. Don't try to fight him. Shnei emar. The pasuk says al tischar bam re'im. It tells us that you shouldn't try to confront the evil people. Below od, and not only that, eleshet drachav matzlichin. Not only that, but all of his paths, whatever he does, is going to be successful. Shnei amar yachilu drachav b'chol eis. Tugim say that his pathways will be successful in every way. Below od, and not only that, eleshet zoche badin, but he's even going to, win any court case he's in. He will be found innocent. Shnei amar. Marum mishpatecha minagdo, right, says that Hashem's judgment will be way upon him, right? He won't be found guilty, he'll be found innocent. V'lo od ela sheroeh bisonav, he's also going to be able to defeat his enemies. Shneimar kol tzorav yafiach bahem, right? All of his enemies, he's going to blow at them, and they are going to be destroyed. So, Ini, is this true? We should really, when you see the Rasha, we shouldn't confront them, we shouldn't try to argue with them. V'ha'amar Rabbi Yochanan mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, mutar liskaros b'rishayim. He says that it's permitted. We should confront him. Ba'olam hazeh. Shneimar. The pasuk says, "Ozvei Torah yahalelu rasha." That those who leave the Torah praise the wicked one. V'shomrei Torah yiskaru bam. But the ones who keep the Torah are going and confronting them. V'tanya. And we have a brisa, Rabbi Dostai bar Maton Omer, Mutar lihisgaros barishaim ba'olam hazeh. He says it's permitted to go ahead and confront the rishaim in this world. V'im lichashcha adam lomar. And if somebody tries to whisper you, al tischar bam re'im, don't go and like the pasuk we said before, don't confront the rishaim. V'al tikanei be'osei avla, and don't be jealous after those who sin. Who's telling you that? Mishali bo nokfa omer kain, somebody who himself is a sinner. Rashi says, Hayare min ha'aberos shebiyado omer kain, somebody who's scared because of all the aberos they have in theirs, right? I guess they're saying that they themselves are probably the Rasha. They don't want you coming after them. Ella. So, fine, how are we going to interpret Al Tischar Bamreim, right? It says, don't confront them. So, what that means is, Al Tischar Bamreim Lios Kimreim. It means, don't try to, we're changing what the word Al Tischar, we're not saying, the word, it doesn't mean Girui, to contend with, to confront really, we're saying it almost means to compete with them. So we're saying is here, don't compete with the evil ones, Lios Kimreim. Don't try to be like them, right? Don't try to compete with them to be more evil than they are. The Altikane be'osei avla lios ke'osei avla. Don't be jealous of those who sin to be like them, right? You don't want to be like them. The Omer, and the pasuk also says Al yikane libcha b'chataim, that you shouldn't be jealous of sins. So again, we have two contradictory brises. One says you should go ahead, confront the Rishayim, and one says no, let them be. So how do we reconcile this? Lo kashya ha b'milei didei ha b'milei dishmaya. First answer is Milei Didei, when it comes to personal matters, you have some sort of issue with the Rasha, so don't confront him. But when Milei Shemaya, if he's doing something which is desecrating, right, the name of God, then you should go right ahead and confront him. Or V'ibais Ema Hava Haba Milei Didei. No, we're referring to only personal matters. Below Kashya, and we still don't have a contradiction. Why? Ha b'tzadik gamor. When are you allowed to confront him if you're dealing with a real tzaddik? But if you're dealing with a man who's not really a tzaddik, then you shouldn't go ahead and confront him. Because Rav Huna says, "My dichsiv." What does the following pasuk mean? Lama sabit bogdim. Why should you look at the traitors? And why shall tacharish? And why shall you remain silent? Bivala rasha tzadik mimenu. When the rasha goes ahead and consumes somebody greater than him, so we say tzadik mimenu boleya. That who can the rasha consume? Who can he overtake? Somebody who is greater than him. Somebody who's more righteous than him. However, tzadik gamor. Right, it doesn't say bivala rasha tzadik. It says tzadik mimenu. So only somebody who's a bit better than him, he can swallow him up. But a tzadik gamor doesn't apply. B'ibais ema, and another answer to reconcile the two statements. Sham is sachekes lo shiny. No, when you see that the Rasha is really being successful at that time period, don't go near him. But at other times, then you can go ahead and confront him. Okay, now we have one last Bryce, one last Agadat on this Gemara. So Amar Ula, Italia shel Yavan. So Ze krach gadol shel Romi. So Italia shel Yavan was a big city of Rome. The Havia tlas mea parsa al tlas mea parsa. It was 300 by 300 parsa, which is a tremendous area. V'yesh ba shasa shvakim. It has 365 marketplaces. Kiminyan yimos hachama, right, corresponding to the days of the year. Again, I don't think we have to take this brisa literally, but I think they're just trying to almost talk about the greatness of this city. Yeah, Rashi here just tells us what's going on with this Italia shel Yavan. So Rashi just tells us Krach Gadol she Gadal. So it's a big city that where did it come from? Bishvil Avon Menachem. It grew out of the sin of Menachem. She Bisha Shehechnis Tselem Behechal. Right, this is certainly in Inyane Diyom of 2 days ago. One of the events that we commemorate on Shivasar B'Tammuz is Ha'emit Tselem Behechal. That a pesel, an idol, was placed inside the Heichal. Machlokes, who this is referring to, but Rashi in the Gemara there, in Tainis, so actually we saw that probably not so long ago in DAF Yomi, and Rashi here as well believes that it was Menachem who was responsible for putting the Tzelem in the Eichal. Menachem was the wicked king of Israel. So what happened at that moment? Yarad Gabriel, the Malach came down. V'na'atz kaneh bayam, he put a reed in the ocean. V'gadal alav chelka gdola, and v'nivneh l'sham Italia shel Yavan. And somehow out of this reed that he put down, right, grew this tremendous city. So again, this idea almost of the Romans being, one being great when we're at our worst. So let's go back to the Brisa, to the third wide line here. The Katan Shebechulam, the smallest of these 365 marketplaces, Shalmochre Ophos, belongs to the sellers of chickens. Vahavya Shisha Asar Mil al Shisha Asar Mil, and its area is 16 by 16 mil. Umelech Soed Bechol Yom Be'echad Mehem, and the king would come and eat there every day. Vehadarba Afal Pisha Eno Nolad Ba Notel Pras, that if somebody was born there, somebody lives there, even though he wasn't born there, he receives a stipend every day. So Notel Pras Beis Hamelech, Vehanolad Ba, and if somebody's born there, Afal Pisha Eno Darba, and if he doesn't live there, Notel Pras Beis Hamelech, he receives a stipend every day. Ushloshes alafim be bani yeshbo, and there were 3,000 bathhouses in the city. The chamesh me'os chalonos, and there were 500 windows. I think chalonos here actually means chimneys. Ma'alin ashan chutz lachoma. There are 500 chimneys that would take all the smoke, direct it outside the city. And then Tzido Echad Yam, and its borders, one of the borders was the sea. Tzido Echad Harim Ukvaos, one of the borders was mountains and valleys. Tzido Echad Mechitza Shavarza, one of the walls, one of these sides was a iron wall. Tzido Echad Chul Sisu Mitsula, and one was pebbles. Okay, Ad Kadni, I got it. The next Mishnah, get back to some Purim related halachos. So Karu es HaMegillah Ba'adar Harishon. Let's say Adar comes about, you read the Megillah on the 14th of Adar. V'nis Abra Ashana. Then, Beis Din decides, you know what? It's too early in the year. We're going to have to make it a leap year. We're going to have to add in another Adar. So, Korin Osa Be'adar Sheni. You have to read the Megillah again in the second Adar. The Mishnah then says, In Bein Adar Harishon LaAdar Hasheni. Ela Kriyas Megillah Matanas Le'Avyonim. The only difference that we have between the first Adar and the second Adar is that, meaning what that means is that everything, all the mitzvos can be done in the first Adar, or they can really be done any month, except Kriyas Megillah Matanas Le'Avyonim, reading the Megillah and Matanas Le'Avyonim both have to be performed in Adar Sheni. They cannot be done in Adar Rishon. So the Gemara just infers from all this, Hala Inyan Seder Parshio Zev Zeshavin. What this implies is that Seder Parshios refers to the 4 special Parshios we read in the month of Shran and Adar, right? We start with Parshas Shkalim, then Parshas Zachor, Parshas Para, Parshas Chodesh. So what the Mishnah here implies is that you can read these 4 Parshios either in the first Adar or in the second Adar. Now the Gemara asks, Mani Masnisin, who is the author of our Mishnah? Lo Tanakama, V'lo Rabbi Eliezer b'Rabbi Yossi, v'lo Rashbag. It doesn't seem to be any of the 3 Tanaim here who we're going to quote in the following Brisa. The Tanya, the Brisa teaches us, Karuas HaMegillah be'adar harishon v'nis abra ashana. The same case. If you read the Megillah in the first month, and then it becomes a leap year, and then another Adar is added, Korin Osa Ba'adar Hasheni. You have to read the Megillah again in the second Adar. Shekol mitzvos sheno agos b'sheni, no agos b'rishon, because all mitzvos that are performed the second month of Adar can really be done in Adar Rishon as well. Chutz v'mikra Megillah. So Tanakama says only mikra Megillah has to be done in Adar Sheni. Everything else theoretically could be done in Adar Rishon. Rabbi Eliezer b'Rabbi Yossi Omer. In Korin Osa Ba'adar Hasheni, you don't have to read the Megillah again. Shekol mitzvah shenogos b'sheni, because any mitzvah which you could have done in the second Adar, nogos b'rishon, as long as you did them in Adar Rishon, you're good to go. Rashbag Omer Mishum Rabbi Yossi Af Korin Osa Ba'adar Hasheni. No, you do have to read Megillah again in Adar Sheni. Shekol mitzvah shenogos b'sheni ein nogos b'rishon. No, because all mitzvahs that you have in Adar Sheni, you can't do them in the first month. You have to perform these mitzvos in Adar Sheni. However, they all agree b'shavin behesper v'tainis when it comes to a eulogy and not giving a eulogy and not fasting on the days of Purim itself. So let's say Yud Dalet and Tezvav she'asurim bazeh bazeh. Everybody agrees that that's the same in both months. So now the Gemara asks, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel hainu Tanakama. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel seems to be very similar to the Tanakama because they both say that you have to read the Megillah again in the second month. What's the difference? So Amar Rav Papa says, Seder Parshios Ika Beinahu. That the difference is, again, reading these reading these 4 parshios. Why? So let's see why. So now it's going to explain again. Go back and explain this brisa. The Tanakama, what does the Tanakama believe? Tanakama savar lechatchila b'sheni. Tanakama says lechatchila best to do all the mitzvos in the second adar. Vi avud barishon. However, if you did it in the first month, so avud it works. But yeah, it's okay. You don't have to redo them. Bar mimikra Megillah, except for Megillah, DAF al gav de karu barishon karu b'sheni. Even though you read it in the first adar, you have to read it again in the second adar. That's the Tanakama. Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yossi Savar, afilu mikra Megillah lechatchila barishon. So Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yossi says no. Even mikra Megillah ideally should be done in the first. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Savar, afilu seder parshios. Even when it comes to these 4 parshios, ikaru barishon. Even if you only read them in the first adar, karu basheni. You have to read them again in the second adar. So we say money. So who can our Mishnah be like? Meaning, Tanakama, if our Mishnah is like the Tanakama, so Kasha Matanos, right? Our Mishnah said that what do you have to do in the second Adar? Mikra Megillah and Matanas Lavyonim. But the Tanakama in the Brisa says you only have to do Megillah in the second month. So, Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Yossi, Kasha Nam Mikra Megillah, right? Certainly can't be Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Yossi because he says you don't even have to learn Megillah again in the second month. And Rashbag, Kasha Seder Parshios, right? Because Rosh Gamliel says you even have to lay in those 4 Parshios again, Adar Sheni, and our Mishnah only says Mikra Megillah and Matanas Lavyonim. So we say no, La'olam Tanakama. Really, our Mishnah is like the opinion of Tanakama. V'tana Mikra Megillah v'hu adin Matanas Lavyonim. Even though the Tanakama of the Brisa only says Mikra Megillah has to be done in the second month, Matanas Lavyonim also has to be done in the second month. Deha beha talya. Those 2 mitzvos are intertwined. Just to give an example, what does it mean those 2 mitzvahs are intertwined? For example, one of the reasons that you're not allowed to lane the Gemara offers for why you can't lane Megillah on Shabbos is because whenever you lane the Megillah, the poor people are going to be waiting for their matanas lavyonim. They're going to be waiting to receive their money, right? Eineim shel anim nisuos lahem. They're going to be waiting for it, and it's not going to come because you can't give it on Shabbos. So therefore, you don't lane on Shabbos. You have to lane at a time when you give matanas lavyonim. Also, practically in Eretz Yisrael, in Yerushalayim nowadays, you can have Purim Meshulash. What that means is if the 15th of Adar falls out on Shabbos, so then you pretty much have a 3-day Purim. The dinim of Purim are split up into 3 days. And that means on the 14th, you have 2 mitzvahs. Right? On the 14th, you lane Megillah and give Matanas Lavyonim. Those 2 mitzvahs go together. On the 15th, you say Alanissim and other things. On the 16th, that's when you have your Seuda and Mishloach Manos. So you see in that as well, that the mitzvah of Megillah and Matas Avenim are intertwined, they go together. So therefore, when the Tanakama here says Mikra Megillah, he means Matanas Avyonim as well. So that's one suggestion. Now maybe Rashbag is really the author. And our Mishnah was actually missing a few words, and this is the real version of the Mishnah. As opposed to our Mishnah, which said Ein Bein Adar Harishon Adar Sheni, which seemed like it was referring to the whole month. Now we say Ein Bein Arba Asar Sheba Adar Harishon Le Arba Asar Sheba Adar Sheni, the day itself. That there's no difference between the 14th of Adar Rishon and the 14th of Adar Sheni. Ella Mikra Megillah Matanos, right? Hal Inyan Hesped V'Tainis, but when it comes to giving a eulogy and not giving eulogy and not fasting, Zev Zeh Shavin, you're not allowed to do that in both Adar Rishon and Adar Sheni. And since it's only referring to the day of Purim itself, not the whole month, Vilu Seder Parshios Lo Mairi. We're not talking about Seder Parshios, and therefore even Rashbag would say you have to do in the second month. Our Mishnah isn't talking about that, and even Rashbag could be the author of our Mishnah. Okay. Amar Rabbi Chia bar Avin, Amar Rabbi Yochanan Hilchsak Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. The halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. She'amar Mishum Rabbi Yossi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, because he has sources from Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yochanan. That is our custom as well. All mitzvos that we have to do for Purim and in Adar, reading the 4 parshios, are all observed in Adar Sheni, not in Adar Rishon. Now we explained Ushteha Mikra Echad Darshu. The 2 shitas here, both the shita of Rabbi Eliezer bar Rabbi Yossi, who says that you do everything in the first month, and Rashbag, who says do everything in the second month, darshan out from the same pasuk. right? B'chol shana b'shana. When it talks about the Megillah, the Purim, it says as you do b'chol every year after year. So Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yossi Savar b'chol shana v'shana. Okay, we're going to do this year like we do every year. Ma kol shana v'shana Adar samuch l'Shvat. The same way every year we learn Megillah, it's referring to Adar, which comes immediately after Shvat. Afkan Adar samuch l'Shvat. So too here as well. Rashbag Savar, no, b'chol shana v'shana. Ma kol shana v'shana Adar samuch l'Nisan. We always learn it next to Nisan. Afkan Adar samuch l'Nisan. Do it the one close to Nisan and do it in Adar Sheni. So now we say, Bishlima Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Yossi mistaver taima. We can understand this svar of Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Yossi. Why? Dein mavirin ala mitzvos. We have a concept that you don't pass up to do mitzvos. If you have an opportunity to do a mitzvah, do it right away. So that's why he says you have 2 adars, so do it in the first adar. Don't let the opportunity pass up. Ela Rashbag, my taima. So what's his svar? Why is he telling you to wait till the second month? Amar Rebbe Tevi, taima de Rashbag, mismach geula legula adif. It's better that we juxtapose the 2 geulas, the geula of Purim, second month next to the geula of Pesach, and just the last line here. Rabbi Elazar Amar taima de Rashbag mehacha. He quotes another pasuk, tichsiv lekayem es igeres hapurim hazos hashenis, saying that we have to, when the Megillah says that you have to accept, it says here the second letter, but here Hashenis we're going to darshan to mean the second month of Adar.